Welcome back to the Party Package, or soon to be the O Show, whatever the hell you're gonna call it at the point you're watching this video. Welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about the Pittsburgh Penguins. Brittsburgh, as I like to call it, DMD, of course, if you know, you know. So today we're talking about the Penguins, a team that I keep thinking every year is going to finally fall off the cliff, and they just seem to keep pushing somehow, and they've made it to the playoffs again last year, which I thought was a fluke, but looking into their stats and stuff, I've realized that it wasn't a fluke. But my question is, are they still for real? This offseason, they re-signed, they kept around Evgeny Malkin, and also, Chris Letang. Don't know why, I couldn't think of his name. They keep those guys around. They trade out Matheson, get back Jeff Petrie, which I do believe is an upgrade for sure. I think most people do. I mean, technically speaking, Matheson had more points than Petrie, but whatever. So this is a team that I keep thinking every year I think they're going to fall off, and mainly because I do hate the Pittsburgh Penguins. They beat my Sharks in the playoffs a few years ago. Ever since then, they've not been my favorite team. But my question that I've posed for myself today, like I always do in these videos, is are they still for real? I mean, Sidney Crosby, 84 points last year. That's nothing. Sorry, you can't really see the numbers very well. My yellow is not very bright. It was last time. It's gotten worse, so I apologize for that. But Sidney Crosby, 84 points. Same as Jake Gensel. Crosby, used to get 100 points. Is he starting to decline? I don't think Crosby's going to be the type of player that, falls off a cliff before he retires. His contract ends in 2025, so he still has 3 seasons left on his deal. I think by the time he retires, I think he'll probably be, a 40 points guy. I don't think he's going to fall off a cliff by the end of his career, but I do think he's going to start falling off. And already 84 points, that is lower. That's pretty good, but that's still lower for Sidney Crosby. And they also keep around Malkin, who did get 42 points, which doesn't seem like a whole lot, but he only played 41 games this season, which means he was more than points per game, which is actually pretty insane. He has been most of his career, but he has been injured as he only played 38. He played 38 games in the 2021, the season before last, only 38 games, and that season, 41 games. So obviously he's been getting injured. He hasn't been able to play as much. In the playoffs, I'm pretty sure he was pretty invisible in the playoffs. Not entirely sure. I apologize for that. But he's still technically 42 points per game. That's more than point per game. And then you also got a guy like Jeff Carter, who's 38. He's the oldest guy on the team, yet he get 45 points. These older guys, their older centermen, are still kicking, and, Crosby's showing signs of declining, I guess, but, still 84 points is not bad for a guy who gets only $8.7 million a year. This team just keeps on pushing. To me, you would think that with Malkin and Crosby and now Jeff Carter and Letang, you'd think by this point they'd start falling, but they just keep pulling. They just keep going. And they added Raquel last year, and Jason Zucker, only 17 points. That is pretty bad. But for the most part, this Penguins team, they just seem to not give up. Every year I feel like is the year they're going to finally lose, and I know I keep saying it, but they just keep going. So obviously the pros of this team is that offensively they're pretty well put together. 84, 84, 58 on the top line. 41, 42, 17. Zucker, not very good. He only played 40-something games as well this year. But 17 points in that many games is also pretty bad, in my opinion, especially for a guy like Jason Zucker. So 17 points isn't very good. But then you got McGinn, who got 32 points. You got Carter, 45. Kapanen in the 30s. Heinen in the 30s. Bluger just below 30s. O'Connor only 5, but that's whatever. But offensively, they're pretty well put together. Overall, you've got 30 points guys to 80 points guys through the fourth and first line. Defensively, they're not too bad either. Dumoulin, Letang, Petrie, Ruda. I mean, there's nothing flashy about this defense. There's nothing flashy, but it gets the job done. Jeff Petrie's a solid addition. Letang is already great. Dumoulin is a solid defenseman. Jan Ruda, I liked in Tampa Bay. I think I could see him doing pretty well here. Ruedel and Peterson are kind of like, I mean, I'd rather have John Marino, but whatever. Those two guys can at least hold together a third-line pairing defenseman. And then Jari and DeSmith that were a pretty good tandem last year. Let's see if they can keep it up this year. But my question was, how good is this team really? Did they really just luck out into getting where they are? And I don't think so. I looked at it, and they were 5th, depending on how... They were 5th best, okay? I'll put it this way. They were 5th best in goals against, which means they had the 5th least amount of goals scored against them. That's better than the Tampa Bay Lightning. With a team in Tampa Bay that has Hedman and Chernak and Sergachev and McDonough, you've got a team with amazing defensemen along with the best goalie in the world in Andrei Vasilevsky, and this team was able to get scored on less than the Tampa Bay Lightning. That is a pretty good, in my opinion, any team that can do better than them is doing pretty good. And they were 11th in goals for, so I mean not the best, but they were just outside the top 10 in goals for. So overall, this team is actually pretty solid put together. I mean, it's weird to think because I feel like I talked in the last video about the Flyers that I feel like at least for me, I have like the name value. The Flyers can't be bad because we always hear the stories of them getting better and worse, and I feel like we always have more optimistic views about the Flyers because they've always been bad, and I think people like the Flyers. But then you go to like the team like the Penguins, who are hated because they had so much, they've had so much success over the last few years that you get more negative opinions, and especially when they lose in the first round of the playoffs every year now. So you get a lot of negative feedback about the Pittsburgh Penguins. But in reality, at least during the regular season, they're doing pretty dang good. Now, my problem is I don't have a clue what to think about this team. Do they make it to the playoffs? I would have said for the last 3 years, no. I thought they were going to start falling off, and every year I think they're going to, once again, this is going to be the year. To me, if this team plays the exact same way as they did last year, then I would say I think so. But this season, I mean, you've got the Hurricanes, the Rangers, the Capitals. Oh, I can think of their stupid name. You've got the Blue Jackets now. And then also the Atlantic Division being so stacked. I would like to say no, but it seems like Sidney Crosby and Malkin and Letang and Brian Russ and Gensel will just not be denied getting into the playoffs every year. So I would like to say I don't think so. But at the same time, these guys, this team, keeps proving me wrong every year. And I would say, fine, they make it to the playoffs. But I like to always ask myself, okay, at the trade deadline, what do they do? What is the goal for each of these teams? I said for Ottawa that they need to start getting some better defensemen. Like, this isn't going to be their year, but next season they just need to, in this offseason, spend money on some good defensemen, and then I would say you're pretty well put together. For the Penguins here, I would like to say, well, defense, but I look at their defense, and it's like, well, it's pretty solid. I mean, I would like to see, like, a speedy, like, you know, like a, obviously not Cale Makar, he's not going anywhere, but, you know, like an offensive defenseman, speedy player. But at the same time, I mean, this team just seems to do it every year without one, so it doesn't really, and it's not like Chris Letang can't do that. So, overall, and Jeff Petrie's also kind of that type of player, too, so I would like to say add some spice to the defense, but I don't really know what I would add, because you have Letang and Petrie as those type of players. Dumoulin and Ruda are pretty solid defensemen. Letang is a pretty solid defenseman as well. I mean, I don't know what I would add to this team. In my opinion, this offseason, I wouldn't have re-signed Evgeny Malkin. I would have let him go off to somewhere else and, like, try to play out the rest of his career. I mean, he's 30. Malkin is 36 and Crosby's 34, I think, right? So obviously closer to the end of their careers. I would have said, Malkin, go off. You play for like St. Louis or something, and come up, go win a cup with them or something. Give them that little oomph that they need. But I don't really know where I would go with this Pittsburgh team. I mean, there's not really anyone you can move out. I feel like this team is exactly the team that you need to put on the ice. I would say replace Zucker with a better player than him, maybe like a Verana or something. It's like someone that can actually shoot and score goals on that second line. A sniper. You need a sniper. You need a good goal scorer on that second line. And other than that, I don't know what else I would add or get rid of in this lineup. So, I guess, really, that's all I have to say about this team that confuses me every season. And yes, this is a pretty sweet jersey. Also, there's the shirt. So, I guess until next time, please pick up your free subscription down below by hitting that red subscribe button. The same color as this bloody shirt. And make sure you pick up the little bell that pops up next to it to get all further notifications about my videos. And leave a like, not a dislike. You can go down below to the comment section and leave any sorts of opinions, rants, tangents, or other sorts of suggestions, feedback, reviews, comments, concerns, or whatever else. And remember, until next time, I've been Owen, DMD. Too sweet, and ta-ta for now.